I used to be a proud high school dean, but after confiscating a student's trashy harem novel, I ended up transmigrating as the empress of this very harem. Looking at the sight before me, a bunch of 17 and 18-year-old girls who should be enjoying their youth, plotting to off each other every single day. My occupational hazard kicked right in. I slapped my thigh and decided to bring strict military-style management straight into the harem. Oh, so you all want to spend your days scheming and tripping each other up, huh? Then you can get your butts up at 3 in the morning for a morning run. Anyone who can't finish 5 laps around the palace will copy the 4 books and 5 classics 100 times. So you want to spend all day fighting over who's the prettiest instead of studying, huh? Looks like you don't have enough exams. Pop quizzes, weekly tests, monthly assessments, and final exams. Scheduled them all. I even brought back my glorious tradition of spying through the back door windows. I'd pop up like a ghost at their windows or doorways from time to time to do surprise checks on their study progress. Thanks to my dedicated management, the harem actually stayed perfectly peaceful for 3 whole years. That is, until the female lead with her so-called destined phoenix fate entered the palace. She started spreading rumors everywhere that I lacked moral virtue. Like hell I was gonna take that. How dare you spread malicious rumors? Have your dad come to my office tomorrow. Su Yuyan was completely dumbfounded, her eyes wide with shock. Summon my father? Your Majesty, this goes against all protocol. I'm already a member of the Imperial Harem. Oh, so just because you're in the harem, you're suddenly not your parents' kid anymore? Rules are rigid, but we are flexible. You have a serious attitude problem, young lady. We need a joint parent-palace intervention to educate you together. The very next day, Minister Su looked completely bewildered as he stood in my specially established dean's office inside the Phoenix Palace. I slammed down a thick copy of the Concubine Moral and Conduct Behavioral Scoring Rubric and flipped straight to his daughter's page. I shook my head in utter disappointment and started my analysis. Pointing at her latest offense for privately badmouthing authority figures, I said, "Look here, Minister Su. Yuyan is a smart kid at heart. But she's just not applying herself to the right things. Forming cliques and spreading false rumors. This severely damages the academic environment and unity of the harem." Minister Su was sweating bullets, nodding and agreeing profusely. Su Yuyan stared at her father, a man who practically commanded the entire royal court, now behaving like a scolded elementary schooler in front of me. Her expression completely shattered. After sending the minister off, I turned around and handed down Su Yuyan's final sentence. A 5,000-word reflection essay, on my desk by tomorrow night. You will read it aloud in front of all the concubines during morning homeroom the day after tomorrow. Having dealt with this nasty rumor incident, I grabbed the classic of poetry dictation homework I assigned last night and started grading. I tossed a few notebooks full of mistakes back for them to redo, then began my daily patrol of the harem. Just to make sure these little troublemakers were actually studying and not scheming any toxic drama. Even though I've strictly banned all forms of campus bullying, prevention is a full-time job. Once that was all sorted, it was finally time for lunch. I had the eunuchs line the concubines up so we could march to the imperial dining hall together. The line was almost formed, but when I did a head count, we were missing one. Today's hall monitor, concubine came running up, panting as she reported, "Your Majesty. Sister Su." She sneaked off to the imperial garden to run into the emperor. My head started pounding the moment I heard that. This girl just got assigned a reflection essay, and she's already acting up again? But when I rushed to the scene, there was no cheesy underage romance unfolding. The young 15 or 16-year-old emperor took one look at Su Yuyan and reacted like he'd seen a ghost. The color drained from his face, and he bolted the other way. He sprinted out of there so fast, it was like he was terrified of catching some kind of plague if he slowed down. Su Yuyan stood there all alone, staring at the emperor's cold, retreating figure. She looked completely shattered in the wind, her face full of sheer disbelief. I helplessly rubbed my temples. Sigh. This underage dating nonsense needs to be nipped in the bud immediately. The late emperor passed away too early, and the current emperor is still just a minor. How could I just stand by and watch the future pillar of our nation ruin his life over high school romance? So, Su Yuyan's little scheme was doomed to fail from the start. After all, I used to be a top-tier dean of discipline. I don't know if my strict authority finally got through to her, but she actually Really started studying, word got around that a foreign delegation was coming to visit. So, for the first time ever, she started practicing English like crazy. Every morning when I walked past her palace, I could hear her loud and clear, reciting, "How are you?" "I am fine, thank you." Honestly, it warmed my old teacher's heart. Su Yuyan actually seemed to have a bit of a gift for languages. Her translations sounded pretty decent. I stood right outside her window, looking at her scribbling away with the loving eyes of a teacher. I thought to myself, well, she's just a little girl after all. There's still time to set her straight. That is, until that fateful day. In front of the entire royal court, the foreign envoy asked the Empress Dowager, "How old are you?" Su Yuyan looked super confident, turned to the Empress Dowager, and blurted out, "Why is it always you?" The Emperor's teacup physically shook in his hand. He stared at Su Yuyan like a straight-A student looking at someone who firmly believes 10 pounds of iron is heavier than 10 pounds of cotton. Pure confusion mixed with absolute shock, and a dash of deep, deep pity. I quickly jumped in to smooth things over. "Hurry up and step down. If you don't have the skills, then don't take the job." The man was asking for the Queen Mother's age. The smug smile on Su Yuyan's face instantly froze. Logically, no one in this era should know English. But as luck would have it, before I time traveled, not only was I a dean of discipline, I also taught English for 10 whole years. I've always seen right through students like her. Su Yuyan was promptly kicked out of the hall. No matter how much she begged, "I promise I'll study hard." "Please, Your Majesty, don't call my parents." I just gave her a wicked smirk. Sure enough, there isn't a single student in the world who isn't terrified of calling their parents. Ever since then, Su Yuyan actually behaved herself a lot more. I saw her showing up on time for the daily harem morning jog, and turning in her homework every single day without fail. Even though her handwriting still looked like a messy chicken scratch, and her accuracy barely crossed the 50% mark, her attitude was at least finally in the right place. In my classroom, I don't mind if your foundation is weak, I only care if your attitude stinks. Anyone willing to put in the hard work is a good seed. I even seriously considered putting her on the shortlist for the Most Improved Student Award. That is, until one particular afternoon smelling of sweet osmanthus, I took an English test paper and personally delivered it to the Emperor's study, planning to supervise him as he finished it after class. But as I walked near the rockery in the royal garden, I vaguely heard the sounds of a hushed argument. "Your Majesty, do you really not understand my true feelings for you? Consort Su, please have some self-respect. I still have to go back and finish the homework the Empress assigned me." Oh boy, we've got a classic case of the slacker harassing the straight-A student right here. Standing behind the rocks, I didn't get mad, I just laughed. Looks like that 5,000-word apology essay was way too easy on her. She still has the free time to pull these dirty little tricks. I cleared my throat loudly on purpose, put on my best fake professional smile, and strolled out from behind the rockery. Oh, what a coincidence. Are the Emperor and Consort Su discussing homework out here? The moment the Emperor saw me, his eyes lit up instantly, like he had just seen his absolute savior. "Empress, she's blocking my way and won't let me leave." Su Yuyan looked at me like a mouse caught by a cat. She forced herself to stay calm and bowed. "Long live the Empress." I dropped my gaze to her nervous, trembling hands and asked, "Noble Lady Su, you don't look so good. Have you been studying the Book of Songs a bit too hard? Come on, recite the next line of Guan Guan Go the Ospreys for me. Is it swimming in the river?" I was so furious I wanted to slap my own forehead. That fair and graceful maiden is a fine match for the gentleman. You do know how to write the word match by now, right? During the last pop quiz, you wrote the character for rubber ball instead. I even circled it for you in red. Su Yuyan's face turned from pale to bright red. We classmates need to encourage each other and make progress together. Just look at His Majesty. Every single day, he has to write 10 policy essays and solve 300 math problems. He even has to memorize English vocabulary words. The person who is more outstanding than you is also working way harder than you. So what excuse do you have to slack off? Su Yuyan's breathing grew visibly heavy. Suddenly, as if she had made up her mind, she glared up at me with absolute indignation. "Your Highness, the rules for women dictates that we must be gentle and humble, yet you are acting so fiercely overbearing. Isn't that completely hypocritical?" "Not bad at all, you've actually improved." You even know how to quote the classics now. I am feeling quite proud. Noble Lady Su, your studies are really paying off. You actually know how to quote the texts now. However, the very first chapter of the rules for women states, be chaste, quiet, and properly reserved. And conduct yourself with a sense of shame. You tugging on His Majesty's sleeve just now. How exactly is that being properly reserved? And how on earth does that show a sense of shame? I just couldn't hold back my feelings in the heat of the moment. His Majesty is still young. He is in the most critical phase of his education. If you truly care for him, you should let him focus entirely on his studies, instead of dragging him into your silly little romances all day. But, hasn't the inner court always been like this throughout history? And that is exactly why so many dynasties have fallen to ruin. You keep rambling on about how much you love His Majesty. Then let me quiz you. What exactly has His Majesty been studying lately? The border war is escalating. Exactly how many military rations should be dispatched right now? What do clauses 1 and 3 of the Jiangnan flood control plan say? She just stood there, completely dumbfounded, with her mouth hanging open. See, you've got nothing but romance on the brain. If you truly loved him, you would be helping him build his empire, not dragging him down so you can both flunk out. Su Yuyan stumbled backward under the fierce scolding, and suddenly burst into wailing sobs. But, Your Highness, I am a living, breathing human being too. All day long, it's nothing but studying and running laps. We aren't even allowed to have a little romance. Then what is the point of even living? I stared at her completely ruined, smudged eyeliner. Ultimately, my heart softened for just a split second. You silly girl. What is so great about dating anyway? The Imperial Kitchen just opened up an extracurricular baking class. And PE class is about to teach women self-defense. By the time you learn how to bake a perfect peach blossom cake and can shoulder throw a burly man, do you really think you'll still care about something as trivial as romance? But what? Do you honestly think baking pastries is easier than falling in love? She opened her mouth, but no words came out. Su Yuyan, if you truly feel that your life right now is completely meaningless, why don't you first ask yourself, aside from fighting for the Emperor's favor, what else are you actually good at? She froze completely on the spot, forgetting even to cry. I turned to leave, took a few steps, and then glanced back over my shoulder. Oh, by the way, the baking class starts tomorrow. If you want to join, make sure you bring an apron. Education is not just about force-feeding facts. It's about waking him up, letting him figure out what he actually wants for himself, instead of me just shoving things down his throat. But knowing how rebellious this little brat is, it'll probably take a few more rounds of drama before it finally clicks for her. Sure enough, she's stirring up trouble for me again. Just the other day, I had barely finished grading the assignments when the Empress Dowager's head attendant showed up. Your Highness, the Empress Dowager invites you to the Palace of Compassion and Tranquility for tea. Well, the principal was summoning me. I resigned to my fate and put down my red grading pen. I straightened out my clothes and headed over to the palace, only to see Su Yuyan kneeling right at the Empress Dowager's feet, crying her absolute eyes out, trying to look all pitiful. The Empress Dowager was sitting there with a stony face, clutching a massive, thick copy of the Harem Management Regulations, the revised edition. Standing right next to her were a few dowager consorts, every single one of them looking deeply concerned. Holy crap, they've literally formed a squad just to snitch on me. Empress, I hear you are making the consorts go out for morning jogs before the sun even comes up. And that failing an exam means mandatory makeup tests. And if our homework is bad, you call our parents in. Su Yuyan added, sobbing and sniffling. Empress Dowager, you have to see what's happening. The Empress even said that if we try to have a private rendezvous with the Emperor, we have to write a public apology and read it at the morning assembly. And she docks our morality points. What kind of absolute nonsense is this? Women of the inner court are supposed to be soft and delicate. But now, everyone is tanned completely dark. They spend all day waving spears and sticks around. Why, just yesterday, I actually saw Consort Wu hoist up a heavy bag of rice with one hand. How is that anywhere close to how a royal lady should act? I fought incredibly hard to hold back a laugh, and gave a respectful bow. Mother, Dowager consorts, yes, everything she said is absolutely true. The Empress Dowager let out a cold snort. Do you have any idea That the inner court has always been a place of vicious backstabbing? I interrupted smoothly. Poisonings and framing people used to be everyday occurrences. But ever since your new rules took effect, the Imperial Clinic's reports show that consort's medical visits have dropped by 70%, and the Internal Affairs Bureau reports a 60% drop in broken property. But more importantly, I shot a very meaningful look right at Su Yuyan. Ever since we started the morning jogs, absolutely no one has accidentally been pushed into the lotus pond. And nobody is miraculously slipping laxatives into anyone else's pastries anymore. The Empress Dowager slowly raised her teacup. Su Yuyan eagerly snapped her head up, fully expecting the Empress Dowager to finally serve some justice. These young girls, running themselves to the point of a complete existential crisis every single day. It is so wonderfully energetic. They look like bright little morning suns. Ha 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 ha. Su Yuyan just froze. She started shaking her head in sheer disbelief. She was literally questioning her entire reality. The Empress Dowager narrowed her eyes happily, savoring the memory. Oh, and especially Consort Lu. The way she was huffing and sobbing while trying to jog. It was just too cute. And Beauty Lin, when she passed out the other day and had to be carried off on a stretcher, she was still aggressively reciting historical essays. It's just so inspiring. And yesterday, noble consort Qian ran until she literally threw up. And she was still frantically memorizing her English vocabulary. That level of dedication, I was practically moved to tears. Holy crap, it turns out the Empress Dowager is the one who truly gets me. But I did hear you've been running English classes lately? Su Yuyan's eyes instantly lit up with hope again. I quickly jumped in to explain. Mother, that is simply to prepare us for the arrival of the Western delegation. Oh, that's absolutely wonderful. Next time they start catfighting, make them do it in English. I really want to see how. I'm going to beat the absolute life out of you, you little tramp. How exactly do you say that in the Western tongue? Ha 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 ha. The Dowager consorts and Su Yuyan were completely and utterly petrified. The Empress Dowager, still highly amused, turned her head to look at her. First Attendant Su, you mentioned just a moment ago that the morning jogs were simply too exhausting? Su Yuyan nodded frantically, her eyes practically shining with renewed hope. Well then, starting bright and early tomorrow, you will be in charge of carrying my giant golden silk phoenix flag, and you will run at the very front of the pack. The flag is a bit heavy. It's only about 20 pounds. The Empress Dowager specifically had the royal staff embroidered with gold thread, so you absolutely cannot ruin it. Seeing the utterly dumbfounded look in Su Yuyan's eyes, I almost burst out laughing. Oh, right, I heard your father has been constantly dozing off during morning court lately. Su Yuyan had a sinking feeling. Perfect, let's invite Minister Su to observe the morning run tomorrow. He can watch his daughter heroically carrying the grand flag. Let him feel what true, youthful vigor looks like. Su Yuyan fainted right on the spot. I immediately called for the royal physician. We sent her to the royal clinic. I watched as Su Yuyan was carried away. And I just couldn't help but shake my head. You silly girl, did you really think? Why the Empress Dowager lets me run this place like a military camp? Because Her Highness is the true mastermind behind this entire harem building game. When Su Yuyan finally woke up in the royal clinic, she was completely out of it. Who am I? Where am I? What just happened to me? But before she could even gather her thoughts, that terribly familiar cadence started playing. 1, 2, 1. Oh, kill me now. The morning run had already started. The physician walked over, holding a bowl of medicine. Lady Su, you're awake. Her Majesty the Empress specifically instructed that you are excused from training today. Normally, Su Yuyan would have been secretly thrilled. But today, as she stared out at the hazy morning sky, she actually felt a bit uneasy about it. She pushed herself up. No need, I'm going to run. When Su Yuyan showed up on the track in her training gear, even I was completely shocked. After 3 full laps, she was so exhausted she just collapsed onto the ground. I handed her my water pouch. Why push yourself like this? She gulped down a huge mouthful of water, her eyes shining with an intense light. Your Majesty, I've finally figured it out. Figured what out? Haha. Instead of spending every day trying to make your life miserable, I'd rather prove that I'm not totally useless. This sudden burst of self-awareness definitely caught me off guard. The other day, you asked if I knew anything about the border wars, or the floods in Jiangnan. couldn't answer you, and it wasn't because I'm stupid. It was because no one has ever cared whether we understood those things or not. You were the one who showed me that women can do so much more than just fight for a man's favor. We can actually do things that matter. Saying that, she pulled something out of her robes. A crumpled up vocational skills elective course directory. It was completely covered in dense, handwritten notes, along with a few cute little doodles. I want to learn this, she said, pointing right at the gardening section. Her eyes were sparkling brightly. The peonies in the Imperial Gardens are practically dying out. I'm going to give it a try. What if I can actually save them? Why the sudden interest in gardening? Right before I fainted yesterday, I saw that those peonies were wilting away, and I suddenly felt like they were exactly like me. We both look so glamorous and beautiful on the outside, but inside, we're just withering away. Yes, exactly, so I have to save them. And I guess I want to save myself, too. In that exact moment, I knew for sure. The old Su Yuyan, who only ever cared about petty harem drama, was completely gone. From that day forward, a spectacular new sight appeared in the harem. Every single day, during the morning run, Su Yuyan would be right at the front, carrying that giant flag over her shoulder, watching it flutter proudly in the wind. Her tiny frame was swaying back and forth under the flagpole, but she just wouldn't fall. In class, she sat in the third row, taking notes more seriously than anyone else. After class, she'd sneak right into the Imperial Gardens greenhouse, chasing the old gardener around every day asking endless questions. Why did this leaf turn yellow? Eunuch Lu, can I try grafting it? 1 month later, that patch of half-dead peonies in the Imperial Garden actually came back to life. The Empress Dowager rushed over as soon as she heard the news. Staring at that sea of flowers, completely dumbfounded. Did Attendant Su plant all of this? Su Yuyan suddenly popped her head out from the bushes. Empress Dowager, the gardeners and I planted them together. The Empress Dowager walked a full circle around a two-toned peony. She clapped her hands and burst out laughing. Wonderful, I've lived to be this old, and this is my first time seeing such wonderfully unique flowers. Pass my decree, Attendant Su is promoted. I watched Su Yuyan grinning from ear to ear, and suddenly felt like this batch of students was finally on the right track. But those old fogies in the royal court finally couldn't sit still anymore. At the time, I was leading the concubines in doing our 8th set of morning stretches. The emperor came stumbling and frantically tripping over himself as he rushed in. Empress, this is bad. Minister Su and his gang just formed an anti-Empress education alliance. They're staging a hunger strike right in front of the Hall of Supreme Harmony. Wow, they actually escalated it to a hunger strike? I hurried over to the Hall of Supreme Harmony and was absolutely stunned by what I saw. Led by Minister Su, a whole group of old officials were sitting in neat little rows on prayer mats. They even had hunger strike signs propped up right in front of them. Your Highness, Minister Su called out the second he saw me. He immediately clutched his chest, acting completely heartbroken. Just look at the letter my daughter sent home recently. The whole page is just rambling on about photosynthesis. Is this how a proper noble lady should behave? General Qian was being even more dramatic, waving his daughter's letter up in the air. With tears streaming down his wrinkly face, he wailed, when this girl writes to me now. She doesn't start with, honored father, anymore. She writes, dear dad. And she even ends it with, yours sincerely. She's thrown all our ancestral traditions right out the window. Imperial Censor Lin just laid flat on the ground, whining, my daughter is constantly buried in medical books like her life depends on it. Seeing her like this, as her father, I can't even eat or sleep. Before I could even get a word in, I suddenly heard the synchronized sound of footsteps behind me. I turned around and saw the concubines marching over in a perfect square formation, coming to back me up. Su Yuyan charged to the front first. Dad, didn't you say watermelon was your favorite? Are my new seedless watermelons really making you go on a hunger strike? Noble consort Qian planted her hands firmly on her hips. Father, didn't you just praise me last month for helping you close that business deal with the Western regions? How could you just turn your back on me like this? Beauty Lin simply pulled out a set of silver acupuncture needles. Father, you've been dealing with insomnia lately, right? Let your lovely daughter give you a quick needle poke. I guarantee you'll sleep like a baby. The old officials instantly descended into total panic. Minister Su scrambled to dodge his daughter. Hey, Anner, stop messing around. Your dad is handling serious official business here. Su Yuyan just shoved a watermelon right into his arms. What serious business? The business of holding women back from making progress? Seeing the situation quickly spiraling completely out of control, the emperor suddenly had a bright idea. My beloved ministers, how about we do this? 3 days from now, we'll host a parent-teacher association event. You can all see your daughter's learning achievements with your very own eyes. 3 days later, the Imperial Garden was transformed into a massive science fair exhibition. Su Yuyan's booth was the absolute hottest spot. The square watermelons and seedless grapes she cultivated had everyone totally amazed and buzzing with excitement. But when she brought out her rainbow roses, even the Empress Dowager couldn't sit still anymore. I'm going to plant these all over the Palace of Compassion and Tranquility. Noble Consort Qian's foreign language corner was absolutely packed. There she was, using 8 different languages, negotiating business with merchants from the West, envoys from Japan, and traders from the South Seas all at the exact same time. Her dad was staring in total disbelief. Since when does my little girl know Arabic? A long line had formed outside Beauty Lin's medical clinic. Several old ministers were even sneaking over to get her acupuncture treatments. The head of the Imperial Hospital was jumping up and down in a total panic. Beauty Lin, we agreed to open a clinic together. You can't just go solo. Meanwhile, Minister Su watched his daughter being surrounded by adoring crowds, and stubbornly muttered under his breath, no matter how good her farming is, it's still not a proper path for a lady. Before he could even finish his sentence, a group of Western merchants swarmed Lady Su. We are willing to pay 1,000 taels of gold to buy your planting techniques. Smash! The teacup in Minister Su's hand dropped straight to the floor. Right on cue, the emperor made his entrance. My dear ministers, you've all seen this, haven't you? I truly believe that with such brilliant talents, your daughters should not go to waste like this. He deliberately paused, watching the old ministers instantly perk up their ears. Then, he slowly announced, I plan to create a new position. Female advisor, across all 6 ministries. And I invite your wonderful daughters to fill these roles. As for the monthly salary, let's set it at the level of a 3rd-rank official. The very same men who were just protesting yelled, Your Majesty is incredibly wise. In a flash, it became, Long live the Empress, and this old subject thinks women getting an education is a splendid idea. My daughter was born to be a professor. Watching all of this unfold, I knew in my heart that this so-called anti-Empress education alliance had completely fallen apart. 1 month later, when the urgent reports of the catastrophic floods in Jiangnan reached the palace, I was literally getting a headache grading Su Yuyan's latest thesis. The emperor came to find me, sporting huge dark circles under his eyes. My empress, things are looking terrible in Jiangnan. The dams have completely collapsed. There are countless refugees. Food and medical supplies are critically low. And those stubborn old ministers? They've been arguing for 3 straight days, without coming up with a single decent plan. Well, that is completely unacceptable. So, let me get this straight, while I'm over here cracking down on quality education in the inner court, you bunch of supposed top students in the royal court. Totally dropping the ball at the most critical moment? My teacher's instinct kicked into overdrive. Isn't this the absolute perfect opportunity for a field trip? I immediately ordered the eunuchs to ring the assembly bell. Moments later, the concubines were neatly lined up in front of the Phoenix Hall. They probably thought I was throwing another pop quiz at them. As soon as I opened my mouth, my old habits almost made me yell, at ease. Instead, I said, Sisters, there's a massive flood in Jiangnan. The people are suffering, even though we, the women of the inner palace, cannot personally go to the front lines. We absolutely cannot just stand by and do nothing. I've decided to launch a special project. A disaster relief and rescue practical training program. The whole lineup instantly exploded with excitement. Su Yuyan eagerly jumped forward, still clutching that massive, thick thesis of hers. Your Highness, I've researched 7 or 8 flood-resistant crops. I can write a survival farming guide right now. I promise it'll be super easy to understand. Naturally, noble consort Qian wasn't about to be outdone. She whipped out her trusty little abacus, giving it a sharp clack. I can lead the palace maids to negotiate and drive down prices with the merchants from the West and the South Seas. We'll buy up all the medicine and food provisions, and I guarantee we'll get the absolute best bang for our buck. Beauty Li quietly raised her hand. As for epidemic prevention awareness and basic first aid training, I can take charge of that. I promised to draw diagrams so simple that even an illiterate old grandma could understand them. Even the most delicate of them all, Lady Lu, softly chimed in. I can teach everyone how to use cheap fabrics, to make much warmer clothing for the victims. Just look at this amazing team spirit. It's vastly different from the days when they spent all their time figuring out how to sabotage their rivals. Over 100 times stronger, the harem suddenly turned into a massive project command center. A corner of the Imperial Garden became Su Yuyan's experimental crop field. Noble consort Qian's outer palace chambers were brightly lit every single night. Beauty Lin dragged the head of the Imperial Hospital around to revise their educational pamphlets over and over again. Their efficiency was surprisingly high. 3 days later, the very first results were out. Su Yuyan's illustrated guide, titled Even Flooded Lands Can Grow Veggies, the Empress approves. It detailed exactly how to plant several fast-growing, flood-resistant crops. The little eunuch we sent out came back and reported that an old farmer squinted at the pamphlet for ages. Pointed at the cute, chibi-style radish and muttered, "This thing looks like a chubby little New Year's doll. Is it even reliable?" But once he followed the instructions and planted the seeds, 30 days later, he actually harvested fresh, juicy vegetables. He was so thrilled that he dropped to his knees and kowtowed toward the north. Crying, "The Empress has performed a miracle. This method really keeps our bellies full." Meanwhile, noble consort Qian's International Extreme Bargaining Squad achieved outstanding results. When the refugees received those affordable, life-saving medicines, they wept with gratitude. Rumors quickly spread that the palace ladies knew actual fairy magic and could turn stone into gold. Beauty Lin's comic book, The Palace Ladies Teach You How to Prevent Plagues, became an absolute smash hit. People were laughing out loud while easily memorizing all the medical knowledge. Even Consort Lu's tutorial on making simple, thermal clothing came in incredibly handy. It massively eased the refugees' struggles to survive the winter. But what really cracked me up was the wild legends that started spreading among the commoners. Some said the Empress was the actual reincarnation of the god of agriculture, who sent fairies down from heaven to teach everyone how to farm. Others even claimed the drawings made by the palace ladies were magical talismans that could banish sickness. They said worshipping them worked better than praying to the gods. When the emperor told me all this as a joke, I nearly choked on my tea. But honestly, isn't this great? Not only is the harem completely drama-free, but it's actually benefiting the whole nation. My journey transmigrating here as their dean of discipline was totally worth it. 3 years flew by in a flash, and we're back at the harem. Oh wait, no, I mean the Harem Women's Academy. For the absolute liveliest day of the year, graduation day, the Imperial Garden was beautifully decorated with glowing lanterns and colorful banners. If you didn't know any better, you'd think we were hosting another royal concubine draft. Up on stage, the emperor was trying to hold back a proud smile as he handed out awards to a bunch of outstanding graduates. Su Yuyan, for successfully cultivating drought-resistant rice seed number 1, you are hereby awarded the honorary title of Agricultural Pioneer. Su Yuyan beamed as she skipped up to receive her award, the cuffs of her official robes still smudged with a bit of fresh mud. Down in the audience, her dad was wiping away happy tears while bragging to his colleagues. Did you see that? My little girl farmed so well she earned an official government title. Next up was noble consort Qian, or rather, official Qian now. The emperor proudly read out her achievements, led the Western region's trade negotiations, successfully haggled using fluent Arabic, and saved our nation 500,000 taels of silver. You are awarded the title of Fierce Diplomatic Warrior. Down below, General Qian's booming voice was the loudest. Haha, that's my Qian family's blood alright. You're even better at doing business than your old man. Beauty Lin then stepped onto the stage, proudly holding up her newly published Women's Medical Dictionary. But before the emperor could even say a single word, several old government ministers started shouting from the crowd. Dr. Lin, when are you gonna teach another acupuncture class? My bad knees are completely counting on you. As their glorious dean of discipline, watching this incredible scene made my heart just bloom with absolute joy. But of course, I still had to keep my cool on the outside. My dear sisters, congratulations on your graduation. From now on, the sky is the limit, and the whole wide world is yours to conquer. But before I could even finish my speech, the emperor snatched the spotlight right out from under me. Now, it is time to choose your future paths. There are 3 options. Number 1. Leave the palace and start your own businesses. You will be provided with full startup funding. Option 2. Stay at the academy as a teacher and educate the next class. Option 3. Stay in the palace to continue your research. I'll choose option 1 and leave the palace. Ah, wait, no. I officially request to establish the Royal Foreign Trade Bureau. I want to focus solely on doing business with foreign merchants. Beauty Lin smiled gently. I choose to stay at the academy. I hope to pass down my medical knowledge to even more of our sisters. Then, it was Su Yuyan's turn. Everyone looked at her as she waved her hand confidently. I'm choosing option 1, too. But I'm not staying in the capital. I'm going to travel all over the country to promote agriculture. Wherever the land is the absolute most barren, that's exactly where I'll go. Oh, my sweet girl, the sandstorms out at the borders are so fierce. Dad, didn't you always say the children of the Su family are never afraid of a little hardship? Su Yuyan shot him a fierce glare. Minister Su instantly changed his tune. Well, the sandstorms might be fierce. So your old man will just have to pack you a few extra jars of moisturizing cream. Right at that moment, a young eunuch came jogging over, his face flushed with pure excitement. Your Majesties, the new batch of candidates has already arrived at the gates. Every single one of them looks so fresh and vibrant. You can just tell they are a fantastic batch. Slowly, the massive palace doors creaked open. The senior girls from the very first graduating class marched out with their heads held high, ready to conquer the vast world outside. Outside, a crowd of wide-eyed, intensely curious freshmen were nervously straightening out their dresses. As Su Yuyan walked past me, she suddenly stopped in her tracks. She pressed a small cloth bundle into my hands. Your Highness, these are bred using my very latest techniques. They're super sweet melon seeds. Keep them. Whenever you're craving a sweet snack, just have the new girls plant some for you. I looked at this vibrant young woman. She was the exact same girl who used to spend every single day trying to figure out how to make my life absolutely miserable. But now, her eyes were practically sparkling with stars. Couldn't resist reaching out and affectionately ruffling her hair. Go on, then, and don't forget to write back often with updates on your farming breakthroughs. She gave me a firm, heavy nod, then spun around and strode away. Her back was as straight and proud as a young poplar tree. Our very last encounter happened right in the main classroom of the inner palace. The Dowager Empress and I were quietly peeking through the back door. Up on the podium, Su Yuyan was delivering a passionate, fiery lecture to the new recruits on exactly how to make your melons even sweeter. Listen up, ladies, you must remember this. If you want the absolute sweetest melons, step 1. They need plenty of blazing sunlight. Step 2. You absolutely cannot skimp on the fertilizer. Finally, she paused for dramatic effect. Deeply meaningful smirk spread across her face. Think less about boys, and focus way more on farming. Men will only slow down your farming speed. Down in the audience, the young girls looked a bit bewildered. But they were all scribbling furiously in their notebooks anyway. The Dowager Empress gently nudged my arm. She lowered her voice to a soft whisper. Do you see that? Now that is what I call leaving behind a true legacy. Ha ha ha. In all my years, I've seen vicious palace drama, I've seen brutal political wars. But watching these fiery little girls throwing themselves into their studies? That's the absolute best show of all. Ha ha ha. Outside, the warm, golden sunlight poured in.